Imagine planet Earth being surrounded by rings, just like Saturn. Unlike Saturn's rings, which are made of ice, Earth's hypothetical rings would most likely be made of rocks. These tiny bits of rocks could come from our moon itself, assuming the moon disintegrates into tiny fragments by a celestial event. They could also come from any other moon-sized object that disintegrates in our orbit. The rings could also be made of ice from comets that collapse near Earth's surface. However, due to our planet's close proximity to the hot sun, it would be very unlikely for Earth to have icy rings, as they would melt right away. Depending on where you are on Earth, the rings would look different. Near the equator, the rings would look like a thin line of light covering our horizon. As you drift away from the equator, the rings would start to appear wider. Near the Arctic Circle, the rings would look like a hump on the horizon. The shadow of the rings would cause disruptions on Earth, leading to more shade in areas where it's supposed to be lit. This could affect our sleep cycles and circadian rhythm, and may also impact agriculture on Earth, which relies heavily on sunlight. Because of the massive shade that suppresses plants' growth, oxygen levels would drop across the planet. Winters would likely become 3 times as cold as they are now, leaving some areas uninhabitable for any complex life form. These areas might still remain habitable for a group of microbes called extremophiles. The International Space Station would likely cease to exist due to the danger of being hit by the ring's rocks. The same applies to all satellites in orbit, which could affect our communication and navigation, as well as meteorological and astronomical observations. It is still possible for the International Space Station to orbit below the rings, while other geostationary satellites could orbit right above the rings without being hit by the rocks. However, their communication with Earth would be severely affected as the rings would scatter radio signals everywhere. The internet would no longer be part of our lives. Leaving Earth and space travel would become difficult or near impossible. Spacecrafts leaving Earth would collide with the ring's rocks, making it hard to explore other regions in space. If our moon and the rings existed at the same time,